to the iCloud. We're gonna jump in and get started. Hi, Megan. How are you, gorgeous girl? Man, you are looking so sexy there. I wonder what you've been doing these days. Love it. Love it. Hi, Dawn. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, everybody. More people joining. Hi, Kristen. Is everyone ready to learn the energy of money today? Cool. We're going to also be a bit interactive, which I think is very important because one thing that I love doing is I absolutely love doing live coaching because a lot of you that are, maybe you have a question, likely your question is going to help somebody who's watching the recording or someone that's on live. And so I was really excited about, having this particular topic because I really do believe that money has been something that really holds people back from being free. And I think that many of us have at some stage of our life or our process or our development have gone through times where it felt like there was never enough, right? Has anybody ever felt like there's never enough money? Or when you do get it, okay, good. When you do get it, it just seems to go away, right? And so for me, that was a huge, huge obstacle I needed to learn how to overcome. And so how am I qualified to be training on this right now? For those of you that don't know me, maybe those of you that are watching live on Facebook and you've never met before, I grew up extremely, I wouldn't say, it wasn't extremely poor. I mean, I didn't live in a third world country, but let's just say for North America standards, I did not have a silver spoon in my mouth. I was on welfare most of my life. And I remember even when I was competing in Miss Teen USA, we were living in government housing. We would go to the Salvation Army or the Community Caring Center to get our clothes. And sometimes my grandma would actually work at the Community Caring Center so we could go after hours and get more than what they actually allotted. And so that was just a part of, what I thought was normal. But I remember one day, I think I was around in 6th grade, and I went to a friend's house who was adopted, but they lived in my opinion, it was like the most beautiful house I'd ever seen. And she had an indoor pool. And she could afford her family could afford Cabbage Patch dolls. So she had like 50 of them. And I always wanted a Cabbage Patch doll, but we couldn't afford it. It was just too much money. And so I remember looking at this life thinking, what did I do wrong? Like, why have I not been so blessed? What is wrong with us? And I remember that morning, their family fed us those orange cinnamon rolls, the orange Danish rolls, the Pillsbury rolls, and something so simple, but I'd never tasted something so good for breakfast. And I was like, oh my goodness, I want to have this kind of life. And so I was just fixated on how am I going to get there? How am I going to get to that kind of life? So I grabbed on to whatever was in front of me, and that was television. I remember there was a TV show called Rags to Riches. Anybody ever watched that show? And it was about this foster father that brought in like 10 foster girls, and they lived in this big yellow mansion, and he had a convertible. And I remember just thinking and imagining and visualizing that that was going to be my life one day. Why am I sharing this story with you? Because it's very important to recognize where we've been as well as to where we are and the beliefs that we have, right? And actually, where are we spending most of our time and our energy? Are we spending it in the realm of possibility, or are we spending it in fear and worry and not enough? Okay. So what this does require is it requires us to take a look at our belief systems around money. So if you all can just take a minute and really sit with what your first memory is about money, the negative memory that you might have about money. Some of us heard money doesn't grow on trees. How many of us heard that one? Right? You might have left the door open and somebody might have said, you know, were you born in a barn? Who do you think's paying for this bill? Right? So what kind of, share with me, let's open, anybody want to share something that you remember hearing that may have been more negative? Anybody want to share? Yeah, please do.
I'll share.
Go ahead, Kathy. And then Donna, we'll get you next.
Okay, so I can remember growing up, and we were quite poor as well because it was a single family. And I can remember my dad saying, "You are lucky you have a roof over your head. You do not need any more money than what we have right now. So I want you to remember that if you see people that have lots of money, that's because they got it the wrong way. It's not because they deserve it or they got it the wrong way. So they're evil, kind of, so to speak."
Wow, talk about a deep-rooted subconscious memory right there, Kathy. All right. Thank you for sharing that so vulnerably, because we're gonna dig into that, Kathy, and do some coaching here. And you're all gonna have some aha moments as we're gonna be working together. Okay, so it's really good that we're open and vulnerable, and thank you for being transparent, because everybody here is gonna get something from this, from that vulnerability. Donna, how about you, hun?
Yeah, so all of those sayings I've heard, like money doesn't grow on trees, barn door, all of those. But I would say growing up, we were probably middle class, but everything was a justification around money. So, you know, we got this new something or other. Oh, but we only spent this much because it was on sale. Like everything was kind of a justification for not, you know, for recognizing the value of it. And I remember, I don't know how old I was, but I remember having a birthday at like a McDonald land kind of, you know, play area. And I was concerned about what my friends were ordering because it could have been the most expensive thing on the menu. You know, that my parents would have to pay for that. So clearly there's a thought around money that, you know, you need to hang on to it. And I think a lot of that comes from the fact that they were born in the Depression. So so it's scarcity mindset.
Very good. Very, very good. And I know everybody here can relate to that in some way, Donna, because, and I'm glad you brought up depression, because we will go in and we will talk a little bit. If I forget, please guys, get me back on track at the end, but I want to talk a little bit about epigenetics as well, and how that can play a big role. So I want everyone just to think about what that looks like. Some of you are on here right now, and maybe you had a family who money was abundant. Anybody here ever have that experience where it was abundant, you didn't worry about it, and there's no shame in it either. Like, it's a blessing maybe that you had a different story, and we want people to be able to connect with what that looks like as well. All right, so if anybody's here and wants to share their abundant story, it's really would be a blessing right now actually to hear from you. Okay, so there's nobody here. Wonderful. So what we're going to do is we're talking about our subconscious programming, which means if we're able to reflect back to those childhood wounds, that childhood programming of where we first learned what we believe about money. Money is scarce. There's never enough. For example, you know, people got it the wrong way. You know, money's evil. It's the root of all evil. So we have to recognize that almost everything that we're doing it from an abundant mindset or a fear mindset. Okay. I love what John Randolph Price said in the Abundance book. You must think of money and any other material desire or possession simply as an outer symbol of inner supply. Okay. Woo, right, Kathy? Exactly. So good. I'm going to say it one more time because I found it so profound. You must think of money and any other material desire or possession simply as an outer symbol of inner supply. Okay. So that well that we have and that we carry within our beingness is either dry or it's abundant, all based off of our beliefs. So money can be the root of good or it can be the root of evil. And many of you have heard of Paul Newman, right? One beautiful thing that Paul did was that 100% of his profits went back to charity after taxes were paid and the bills were paid. And there's many people, many millions of people that use money for good. And in all reality, we need more people who are good using money for good to make more money, right? And so we know what happens when people who are greedy or maybe using money in the wrong way, we know where that can go. And we know what happens in the world. We see it in corporations. We see it with corporate greed. We see it with mass productions, consumerism to a point where we're not taking responsibility for our waste, which I love that about our company is we're focused on being completely waste free by the year 2030. And so that really excites me about being more conscious, because if we're conscious consumers, we're going to be conscious contributors, right? And so we just really have to ask ourselves, how many people do we know right now that crave, desire, and want financial freedom? How many of us want financial freedom, whatever level that might be? Sorry about that. If you ask anybody on the street, what is your greatest desire? Most people are going to tell you, besides relationship, connection, health, right, and happiness, they're going to tell you financial freedom. And why? And why will people say financial freedom? Because financial freedom for us creates emotional freedom. It does. It's energy, right? But why don't we have enough energy at times? I remember there were times when I would go to the store and I was in the process of building my career and I was so stressed out because I didn't have enough money in my bank account for the groceries. And at that time I would write a check and I would post date it for the date I knew I was going to get a check from my company, hoping it wouldn't bounce by the time it went in. And if it did, I would get a fee for that. So I had to gauge it just, at the right time. And I remember the fear. Did anybody relate to that fear, or going through and using your debit card or your credit card and it doesn't work? I mean, if so many times I would use the debit card or the credit card and it wouldn't work. And I was so embarrassed. So I would be like, oh my gosh, there's something wrong with your system. And I was so embarrassed that I had maxed out my card or there was no money there, that I couldn't even own that it was my fault. So I just played it off, right? And those were really good times in the sense that it humiliated me enough to say, I don't want this anymore. Something's got to change. Something's got to change. Something's got to give. And I need to change my belief systems around the way I'm showing up in the world if I really want things in my life to change. And that means I have to change my habits. I have to change, at times, the people I was hanging around with. Because you've heard the saying, the 5 people that you spend the most time with will be on average, what they earn will be on average of what you earn. Wow. So let's just take a moment for that. And this isn't to judge people. We're not sitting here and going to be like, you're not going to be my friend anymore because, listen, you're not making enough money. It's not about that. It's not about being insensitive to other people or thinking you're better, or you want to be better than them. It's all a choice. And sometimes people don't realize, everybody wants financial freedom, but a lot of people don't realize how to get to it. So they just settle and they keep doing the same thing over and over and over. And we know, we've heard that saying, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So what is it that we need to do right now to create a new belief system about our relationship with money? So for me, I totally know that there's enough money. There's more than enough money. Money shows up. The affirmations, money shows up right when I need it, when I want it, when I desire it. It comes in abundance. It's always there. It's always available. But one of my big core belief systems is that if I want to generate more money, it's just energy. So if I want more energy, I need to give more energy. See, a lot of us give energy, but we don't know how to receive energy. We can give lots of energy and we're giving. But the problem with you not receiving is because you're not receiving the flow of money back. You're not willing to receive the abundance that the universe wants to give to you and bless upon you. How many of you are really good at giving, but you're horrible at receiving? Yes. Yes, this is typical. And if I'm betting those that have raised your hand, you either are a mother of small children, or you grew up in an environment where maybe the mother had a hard time receiving. Okay. Yes. Okay. So good to be aware of this. So good to recognize this. And so the other thing is we get on this tangent where we understand this, we believe this, you hear what Christy's saying and it resonates as truth for you. But you might start creating new affirmations for yourself and you might start acting in different ways, but then all of the sudden you give up because you're not seeing a return on your investment. You're not seeing a quick enough ROI. So you begin to say, this doesn't work. This just doesn't work. I give, and I don't receive. I remember there was one point in my career when I started having, oh my goodness, like I couldn't believe the abundance that was pouring into my bank account. I'd never seen anything like that before in my life. And it freaked me out. I was like, oh my gosh, I am not worth this much. I am not, what am I going to do? So I started just giving it away. It was so uncomfortable for me. I just was giving it away, spending it, not even being, not being conscious with the way I was managing that gift back. Okay. And so the truth is, our savings rate have gone completely down, right? People aren't saving. How many of you fear for your future? You fear for retirement. You fear how you're going to, if something were to happen, if something happens in the economy, you're not quite sure how you would be able to take care of yourself, right? That fear, we have to understand that fear has 100% control. I remember there was a time, because I had all this abundance that was created and the money had been pouring in and I was rejecting it. I was rejecting the worthiness. I wasn't worthy. And that caught up over a period of time. It caught up. I found myself in just financial devastation. I was $250,000 in debt. Okay. I had liens on properties. I was so paralyzed in fear because of the debt. And I didn't know how to get out. And I was ashamed. I felt ashamed because I was like, how could somebody, I would say this to myself, be blessed with so much and take for granted what was given to them? And so I remember talking to a good friend of mine and I was sharing my shame, but I was also reaching out for help because he was way more successful than me financially. And he said, oh, Christy, I lost $600 million in the recession. Stop whining. And I was like, okay, that made me feel a lot better about myself. Thank you very much. And as weird as that might sound, sometimes knowing that somebody else has overcome even greater odds makes us feel a little bit better about our own situation. So you might hear my story of being $250,000 in debt and think, oh, wow, I'm glad I wasn't Christy at that time. I was able to go through it. I was able to make it through the other side, get out of debt, get on top, get back to where I wanted to be and further. But it was all changed by my belief system. I had to say, you know what? This is not the mountaintop I'm dying on. Forget it. I'm going to learn a lesson from this. I know how to create. I know how to manifest. I manifest by serving humanity, by giving the light, by sharing the light and allowing the light to come back in waterfalls of abundance. I was not attached. Here's the other thing. How many of you get attached easily? You get attached to the belief, you get attached to the outcome, you get attached to the time frame. Let go of your attachment. That is a part of the lesson. If you are attached to your stories of the past, well, I am where I am because this is what happened to me. Guess what? The universe doesn't feel sorry for you. Because it's actually a blessing. It's a blessing that your father or your mother or that thing happened that maybe caused the setback. The blessing is for you to recognize and be really aware of what you did emotionally, spiritually, physically to create those circumstances to happen. And the minute you can say, you know what, I take responsibility. I take 100% responsibility for my actions that led me to this point. And now I take 100% responsibility to get out of it. I am not attached to how long it takes. I'm not attached to how it's going to happen, but I have 100% belief and certainty that I will be on the other side of this and I will be beyond energetically positive or financially successful, beyond my wildest dreams. I am ready to receive the light. So when the light comes back, it is your payment for your service. And if you block that and you start to say, oh, I'm not worthy. Oh, I don't deserve this. Oh, what if I lose it? How many of you have done that? What if I lose it? What if I don't know how to manage it right? What if I? This is a very egocentric way to look at it. What the universe is looking for you to say is, oh my God, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I will use this in a way to create more value and light and love and energy in the world. If you begin to squeeze something, so I remember this beautiful story about this little boy who got this little container his mom helped him pick out. And in that container, he was going to create a living space for this beautiful caterpillar. And the caterpillar was in there every day. It was beginning the metamorphosis process, and he could see it every day. He was watching it and watching it and watching it. And then one day, he starts to notice that the butterfly's wings start to come out. And he's just beyond himself excited. And he runs inside and he goes and grabs some scissors and he comes back out and he starts to help the caterpillar to be released. He starts to cut it open so that the butterfly can get out more easy. And many of you know what's going to happen next. The caterpillar is now a butterfly and it pops out. But the problem is that the caterpillar that morphed into a butterfly died. The reason why is because the butterfly needed to go through all of that breaking through in order to have the strength to fly. So yes, hard lesson for the little boy, but a great lesson. How many of us have really shamed ourselves and have halted that growth because maybe we've made some choices that didn't serve our financial well-being? This doesn't mean you need to stop. right? And you don't need anyone to save you either, because you need to grow through this process. I grew through it from having nothing and living on welfare and feeling like there was never enough and always being afraid. I never had enough money at the end of the month. Gosh, it was so much of my life. I can't even tell you. It was such a struggle. I was living in fear constantly that there was never enough. And so finally I just said, I just had to let it go. And I said, this is suffering. This is suffering. I don't want to suffer any longer. I am tired of suffering. I am choosing to create a new belief system. So I remember taking my calendar one day because I'd listened to this training on my tape cassette. I had a tape cassette of trainings. Anybody else relate to that? Yeah, that tells you how old I am. And I remember them talking about, tithing. And at that point, I had always made an excuse to not tithe because I didn't ever have enough money at the end of the month. But I heard this voice, and no, I'm not schizophrenic. I sometimes have these conversations in my head, and it's usually great wisdom. And the voice said, I never asked you to give money. Why don't you give more time? So I was like, is that my voice? What is that voice? Okay. So I got my calendar, I took it out, and I said, okay, let me look. At that point, I was using a system, a color system for my activity. So the green activity in my calendar meant money producing activity. That meant that I was actually in service to another human. Okay. I was sharing a product or an opportunity. And that's what the green looked like. So I decided, I counted up all my green for the month, and I said, I'm going to triple this activity for the next month. So the next month I tripled the activity. And sure enough, my checks tripled. I didn't tithe more money, I tithed more time. Time is energy, money is energy. So if you want to earn more, you need to give more of your energy. Let go of the outcome. So if you are in that mindset of, oh, well, I gave more energy, so I deserve this. And it's kind of a very narcissistic, egocentric, yes, you'll get it just because it's the law of the universe. You'll get it, but you won't sustain it. Because there's something about a humble, hungry heart of someone who's really doing it selflessly. Those that you see who do accumulate riches selfishly, they do get there. They do make a lot of money because that's their focus, that's their intention. The problem is, to what expense? What you'll see is a lot of people that get there in a very egocentric, narcissistic way, they typically lose their health, their family, and sometimes their fortunes. Tragedies strike, things happen because there's no humble balance. It has to be the yin and the yang. There is this, the universe does not respond to that which isn't giving selflessly. I think it was Rumi that said, the sun never says you owe me. The sun gets up every day. The moon never says you owe me. It still shines every day. It still gives the light every day. And then it continually is just consistent. Okay? It's consistently giving. So this is really where you need to ask yourself, am I consistently being like the sun, like the trees, like the ocean? See, the secrets of life are really caught up in nature. All we have to do is sit outside in nature, and we can get the secrets of life. But it takes that time to sit with yourself and recognize the problem is not out there. The problem is not my mother or my father or my husband or my wife or my job or my boss. Or the minute you begin to blame any external circumstances for your lack thereof, you are undeniably continuing this cycle of lack. And unfortunately, it's contagious. That energy begins to, it's like a dis-ease. It begins to go into the energy frequencies of our family, our neighbor. I remember I was going to produce a movie one year with Dr. Shad Helmstetter. He had created a children's book series called Shadrach the Bear. I loved Shadrach the Bear because it was focused on, just to give you a little synopsis, there were these bears from Planet Excellence that, you know, lived on this beautiful planet, and they recognized that the children of Earth were being they were getting all these negative thoughts put into their minds by the negatroids. So the negatroids were from a different planet. So there was actually one scene where it was at a carnival, and you could, the Bears of Planet Excellence were watching this dark energy go through the circus, and it starts going through the little kids' ears, and it starts affecting them, and they were happy, and then they start fighting. So then the Bears of Planet Excellent decide to come down and, you know, save the children of planet Earth. So it's the same kind of thing for us, right? So the minute our thoughts begin to go into a negative vibration or a negative thinking pattern, we send that, it goes to our partners, it goes to our children. And they don't know it's coming from you, right? Have you ever walked into a room and you were feeling so happy before, and then you walk in and then you feel like crap? You're like, what's wrong with me? What did I eat yesterday? Maybe I'm hormonal, you know, something's wrong with me. Right? We begin to think it's us. Sometimes it is us, but the majority of the times we're picking up the vibrations and the energy of all those around us. Some of you are probably thinking, Christy, this is just new age. This is crap. How do you think the energy gets into your television system? You don't see everything going into the television. You don't see the radio waves going into your radio. You don't see that. And if you've ever had someone call you out of the blue and you're like, I was just thinking about you. How in the, you called me. I mean, this is amazing. This isn't a coincidence. This is energy. Okay. And so how do we begin to shift when we've got people we love and maybe we're even sleeping next to them and they have a negative relationship with money? Whoa, whoa. Okay, you ready for this? I'm going to give you some secret sauce that you're probably not going to hear in many other places. One thing that I like to do that works every time, and if I were more consistent with it, oh my gosh, I can't imagine where I'd be right now. So I'm teaching you something that I don't even take my own medicine all the time, okay? But there've been multiple times where I've been maybe in a negative vibration with money or with abundance. So I would sit down in my meditation and I go to that meditative state. And if you don't meditate, my friends, that's tip number one. You want to change your life drastically. I don't care if it's for 5 minutes a day. You don't have to meditate for an hour. Just start going quiet. But in that meditation afterwards, I would be in this high state and I would draw a circle and I would put the names of the people in that circle that I wanted to intentionalize abundance over. Okay. So I would say, let's just say I would see my children. I would see them coming home excited about getting good grades. They started seeing themselves more differently. They were walking more confident. They were hitting their home runs. They were picking up their toys. They were saying their pleases and thank yous. They were just exceptional human beings. And I started seeing this every day. I would see my partner waking up in a more happy, loving way. doing kinder things, not responding negatively, responding positively, interested. I started praying over my team. So I started seeing them rocking the stage, speaking, training, excited to share with me what their checks were. So every day I did this, every day I did this. Nobody knew. I didn't tell anybody that I was doing this. I wanted to test it. I wanted to see, does it work? Oh my gosh, does it work? It works in ways that will blow your mind, but it requires a consistent, energetic effort to see people in their most positive light. Okay. That means even those, the greatest challenge, we know who those people are. Those gifts in our life right now, those people that are negative Nellies, they're the naysayers, they're the dream stealers, they're the energy vampires. These people have shown up on planet Earth to be those negatroids in your life to get you to be more compassionate, more loving, more kind, more understanding. That doesn't mean you need to be their best friend. That doesn't mean you need to keep them in your inner circle. This just means that you pray for abundance over them. You pray that whatever things that have happened to them or what is happening to them, that they are able to be healed from that they are able to see the light from within. So we're going to be talking about also completely not giving our power to external sources anymore. No longer saying, well, if my partner was more positive, if my partner just did this, or if I, no longer are we giving our power away. We are no longer allowing the negatroid energy to suck and drain our power, because we need that power to create more light coming in. So be
Christy, I'm not sure if you can hear me, but your internet
Christy,
is going out a
I'm
bit.
not sure if you can hear me, but your internet is going out a bit.
Oh, thank you. Who said that? Is this from Facebook or is this from
Zoom.
Let's see here.
Zoom.
It's on Zoom. Okay, hold on 1 second, my sweet ones.
Nope, I can't hear you.
Okay,
No, can't hear you.
you still can't hear me, or you can't?
Oh, it's better now.
It's better now.
It's better. Thank you. Continue to stop me if that has it been happening the whole time?
No, just the last
We've been
maybe
good.
30 seconds to a minute.
Okay, great. I just told you the secrets of the universe in that 30 seconds, so you'll have to go back and re-listen. Just kidding. All right. So what we're going to do, oh, no. All righty. Hold on 1 second.
Your video is good, but your audio is not.
Wild.
Oh,
All right.
just heard wild.
We're
So
on,
we're
we're
back
on
again.
5G. Is that good? We're good now? We're on 5G, so I think we might be better. Are we good? Okay, fabulous. Thank you so much. All right. So better? Here we go. Better? Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, that's much better.
Oh, wonderful. Sorry about that. Okay, so number one, we're going to start with being proactive. We're going to begin with the end in mind. And what that means is that we really need to see where we're going. We need to visualize where we're going. Okay, so what is that going to look like for you? We need to start dreaming bigger. What, visualize. I used to put like literally all the things I would do to attract and in those beginning stages of trying to overcome my lacks in terms of manifestation. I would go tour the most beautiful homes. These homes, if I would go tour them, multi-million dollar homes. And there was no way I was making that. But I needed to get into the vibration, into the feeling of what it felt like to imagine coming down the stairs and going to make the coffee in my kitchen. So I'm going to encourage all of you. One of the things I'm going to have you do this week or next week, I want you to go do this. I want you to go take a tour of the home that your dream home that's for sale right now, if that's a desire that you have. And I want you to just go have the experience. And then what I also want you to do is I want you to, if there's a car that you want, I want you to go test drive it. Okay. I want you to go feel what it feels like to be in the driver's seat of it. And when you're there, I need you to act as if you have the ability to take out your checkbook or send a draft to pay for it in cash. Very, very important. Maybe the material, some of you are like, well, I'm not into material things. It's really not my thing. Here's the thing. You don't have to. I just need you to get into the vibration that you can buy whatever you want, whether you want it or you don't want it. Just because you can doesn't mean you should, right? Last night we went on this really beautiful boat tour and there were $50 million homes. And I'm like, oh my, like seriously, I need to step up my vision here. And my son says, yeah, Mom, but that won't make you happy. I said, yes, but I didn't say I'd buy it. I just want to be bless you, Kathy. I want to be able to know that I can buy it if I want to buy it, but I don't need to buy it. I'm happy living in my camper. I'm happy, period. Whether it doesn't matter what I have. So that's what I want you guys to practice though. I want you to go shop. Remember the Pretty Woman scene? So my best friend made the movie Pretty Woman. He might be on here right now. I don't know. He'll probably watch this. He made that movie. I loved that movie because what was so great is when she goes shopping, Julia Roberts goes shopping, right? At first she walks in, she has all this money and she's in her, she doesn't know what to do with it, right? Remember that scene? And they were like just giving her this cold treatment because she didn't look like them. And all of us can relate to that, right? In some way where someone just somebody looked past us, didn't even see. And I loved it when she just starts pulling out the cash, and she's just a different woman when he walks in and sees her at the bar in that black elegant dress, and her hair is beautiful and it's perfect. So those kinds of films changed my life because it got me to think about, like, it doesn't matter. Like, you have to put yourself in a don't become a prostitute, but that's not where I'm going with this. But the point is to just put yourself in those environments, even if people are thinking you don't belong there. Okay. And because you need to feel it. Also, let's say your dream is to speak on the stage. Maybe you have a dream to write a book. Maybe it's to speak on the stage. I remember I would lay down at night and I would visualize myself speaking to 250. I would start with 250 people. And I'd imagine a room full of 250 people, and I was speaking into them and loving on them, and they were cheering, and I was connecting and giving them things from my heart, and they were changed, and they never were the same again. I'd imagine that every single night, every single night, every single night. Sure, it wasn't long before I was in a room with 250 people doing that. Then I started increasing it to thousands and thousands before I was in front of 16,000 people doing the same thing. And actually I need to get my vision bigger. I have to go beyond that. You know, I've been in a different phase of my life of focusing on relationship and creating the most beautiful relationships of my life. You know, so you go into different stages. Right now, those of you that are on right now are in this energetic money phase. You want to create more abundance in your life. You're going to do that. You're going to learn how to, you're going to manifest it. You're going to master it. And then you're going to go on to something else. Okay. So the learning is never done. Number 3, first things first, you need to have some balance, right? You need to be able to be a little bit balanced. So while we're doing this, you can be attracting all this good coming in. The minute something good happens, if you're pulling into a parking space, you just got rockstar parking. This is how I trained my kids. I'm like, Mama always gets rockstar parking. And they're like, yep, Mom, you always do. I'd pull in, all of a sudden I'd drive around for a second, I'd get rockstar parking. But then there'd be days that the rockstar parking wasn't there, right? And the boys would be like, Mom, but you always get rockstar parking. Why aren't you getting rockstar parking today? And I would be like, you know what? If you wait long enough, you're going to get rockstar parking. If you're patient enough, you're going to get rockstar parking. So I always believed I was going to get rockstar parking. It depended on, you know, I just had to wait for it sometimes. The other thing is when you get blessed, someone opens a door for you. That is abundance coming in. That is energy coming in. Say, thank you. Thank you so much, universe. Thank you so much. Just say the blessing right there. Say, thank you. Let's say you get a check in the mail. You get $1 more on your paycheck, right? Thank you so much. I would love next month to get $1,000 more or something better. I would love to get this or something better. Always ask for something better. Thank you or something better. Number 4, when you do a transaction, it has to be a win-win for everyone. If you're going into a business transaction and you're only thinking about yourself and how you're going to win, you will always lose. Your number 1 job is to make it a win-win-win for everybody. If somebody loses, you may win temporarily, but you're going to always lose. It's just self-sabotaging at the worst. So make sure everybody wins. Everybody's got to win. That's another rule. Everybody's got to win. Number 5, seek to understand. How many of you have ever heard a salesperson completely vomit all over you? And they just don't stop talking. They keep telling you how great their business is. They keep telling you how great their products are. And at the end, you're trying to sell something. And they're like, no. Why? Why does this happen? This happens because it's like going to the doctor. And if you go to the doctor and you just the doctor just starts prescribing you something and they have no idea what you want, what's going on? Doesn't make sense, does it? What if you just went to go to a restaurant and the server just comes up and gives you food? Doesn't make sense. But sometimes when we are in an energetic exchange, a lot of people will try to sell something. Sell, convince. And guess what? You lose. Because the person's like, you really don't care about me and my wants. You really don't care about my needs. You're always talking about what you want. You're trying to sell me something. This is why so many people fail in sales, because they make it all about themselves. Ask questions, seek to understand what their needs are. And it might have nothing to do with what you have available to give them. But sometimes somebody will say what their need is, and I'm like, oh, I know someone I'm going to connect you with. And I make a connection. Does it serve me in that moment, or maybe never? Probably not. I don't know. Universe knows. Universe is paying attention. So it may not come from that transaction, that energetic transaction, but the universe will actually, it's keeping tabs. So it's going to somewhere, but I'm not asking for it. I'm just like, but I know from my experience that the universe is paying attention. The universe is collecting the karma points. I don't, I always used to teach my boys, okay, you just picked up trash on the beach, karma points. Great job. Don't do it for karma points, but just know your karma points are collecting. How cool is that to have karma points, right? Number 6, synergize, trust. You've got to trust. Trust. How many of you have a hard time with trust? Yeah. Yep. That's been a big one for me. You've got to trust that when you put it out, it's going to come back. You put it out, it's going to come back. Put it out, come back. And number 7, you need to sharpen your soul. So make sure that you're always getting personally renewed. You can be giving, but if you're not taking time for yourself to fill up your tank, you're never going to get back. Okay? So you have to make sure your vessel is ready to receive the abundance coming in by taking that time. If you serve all day, just serving, don't think that you're going to get a medal for over serving. Okay, so we have a tendency sometimes to overserve to get, and the universe knows it's manipulation tactic. So it's like, nope, sorry, she hasn't figured that out. He hasn't figured that out. Not going to work that way. Don't overserve to get, just serve from the heart. Just serve from the heart. You're just serving, and you're also allowing. All right, guys. So hopefully, I had a few more notes. But I think at the end of the day, I think all of you probably gained something today that was of great value for you. So what I want to do is just open it up to a question or two before we close out on this, this training today. And hopefully you are able to start manifesting. And I'd love to hear your stories, by the way. So, when you have success stories, I want you to share it with me. We have a new group that we've created called Elevate Together. So what I do, I come on Fridays and I'm training every Friday on something. It's not necessarily the energy of money. It could be mindfulness and meditation. It could be anything. On Wednesdays, we have Paula Curdy, who is our money maven and teaches you how to get out of debt, how to make more money, earn more money. And then on Mondays, we have health trainings by my beautiful my Latin lover, Gonzalo. He'll be on there, and a couple other beautiful souls too. And Kristen, she's also going to be helping me from Argentina, who's a vegan, rock star. They're going to be training on health on Mondays. So Elevate Together is a community that we put together for anybody and everybody who just wants to grow. You could be a part of my company or not a part of my company. It doesn't matter. We want this to be a place where we share tools, training, love, information, conscious fellowship, from the bottom of our hearts, just to give. All right. So just if watch my stories, join Elevate Together if you want to just watch and learn more. We're gonna have relationship experts on, you name it. It's going to be so much fun. This is my calling here. My calling is to share all the wisdom over my life that I've learned to create the abundance I've created in order to help you. And I can guarantee you that when you show up, you're going to grow. I guarantee it. You're going to. It's just being in the energy of people that are doing great things. It's gonna fall into your life. It's gonna pour over into your life. So anybody wants to ask any questions or share anything, I'm happy. I appreciate you too, Katie. Thank you for that sweetness. Does anybody have anything you want to mention or share? You can unmute yourself if you'd like.
Christy, I just want to say thank you. This was amazing. One of the things that popped into my mind when the conversation at the beginning was about worthiness and feeling worthy for that abundance. Myself, as well as other people that I know, have struggled with that. So I'm wondering, is there a book that you can think of that speaks to that specifically about gaining that confidence around your own self-worth?
Yeah. So I actually am doing a training on that. And Kristen, if my assistant is on here right now, I have a date planned for that too. And if you message me privately, I can also send you some things. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. I'm just reading here where it's at. You know what? I thought I put it in here because that was a big one. So it looks like I need to do one on worthiness. I will be doing one on worthiness because that is a huge one, and I'm grateful that you brought that up. Private message me and I'll get some book ideas over to you on that one. But that is actually, Inner Child is actually next week, which probably could be a really great opportunity to talk about worthiness, because most of the time our unworthiness stems from our inner child that didn't ever feel like she or he was enough. So in terms of healing inner, we'll do some of the worthiness next week, next Friday. So just to kind of give you an idea of what the schedule looks like. Wait, no, it's not next Friday. It's actually the 2nd. So September 2nd is going to be the next one, healing inner child worthiness. All right. Then we go into the 9th will be radical reprogramming and absolute affirmations. The 23rd will be vibrational healing. And the 30th of September will be unconditional love. So I'm really excited to bring these topics. Many of you may or may not know I have my master's in metaphysics. So I've spent, oh my gosh, I spent like 10 years learning how to actually not only help heal myself, but to help heal others. And so I just want to praise all of you for being here and showing up. And I have no doubt that by you showing up on these calls, your life is going to change for the better. Okay. So thank you for being a part of this beautiful community this morning and elevating together. All right. Love you all so much. Have a blessed and beautiful day, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.